This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. October 10th is World Mental Health Day, and this year we're saying thank you, therapists. BetterHelp therapists have helped over 5 million people worldwide on their mental health journeys. That's millions of stories, millions of journeys, and behind every one is a therapist who showed up, listened, and helped someone take a step forward. Moments in therapy, like the right question, a safe space to cry, or a small win, can change lives. This World Mental Health Day, BetterHelp is honoring those connections and the therapists who make them possible, while showing how easy it is to get guidance from a licensed therapist online with BetterHelp. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it works with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. This World Mental Health Day, we're celebrating the therapists who've helped millions of people take a step forward. If you're ready to find the right therapist for you, BetterHelp can help you start that journey. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PFF. That's betterhelp.com/PFF. Standouts of the week, Dalton, who stood out outside of these, 11 games that we reviewed today? Who stood out in the other games?
What a stacked weekend it was, because honestly, we're only reviewing 11 games so the guys can go home and watch NFL. We probably could have reviewed like 16 or 17 this week, so we're gonna get a little bit of that here. We won't take too long. Let's go back to Friday night again. Washington, Rutgers. What a night for Damon Williams Jr., the Washington Huskies quarterback, man. 401 passing yards, a 92.1 passing grade, 15 carries, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 explosive runs, 7 missed tackles forced. Damon Williams is an animal. There's no other way to put it. And they got off to a really slow start against this Rutgers defense in this game. When he decided to take this game over, man, oh man, it was a wrap. He was the best player on the field. And I'll tell you what, I'll go back to this when they played Ohio State. He did not play that bad against Ohio State. He was not the reason they lost that game. Damon Williams, the Washington Huskies, their next 2 games are against Michigan and Illinois. I'm going to tell you something. They win both of those games. We're talking about the Washington Huskies possibly going to the playoff too, because they got a road at that point to 10-2 or maybe even 11-1. But you have a quarterback playing like this, and Jonah Coleman, not great in this game. I think he had less than 50 rushing yards. Got an insane touchdown to Denzel Boston down the left side. But Damon Williams, you want to talk about a dual threat? This guy's as good a dual threat quarterback as anybody in the country. He was fantastic on Friday night. I mean, you talk about excluding sacks, because we do it right around here. 533 total yards. That's silly. I don't care who the defense is or who you're playing. That's just silly stuff. Damon Williams proving he can carry the Huskies to a win even in adverse situations.
Yeah, I want to shout out Joey Aguilar really quickly in a game that Tennessee almost got upset by Arkansas. It was one of the call-outs for the chat upset parlay of the week, the No Sunday Show parlay that unfortunately did not hit, which is why we're doing the show right now. But they barely escaped with a win, 34-31 over Arkansas, and really the biggest reason why is Joey Aguilar was outstanding. 90 PFF grade, 87.1 passing grade, 221 passing yards, and a touchdown, 2 big-time throws, 1 turnover-worthy play. Also ran for 50 yards and 3 first downs in that game. Tennessee's defense really struggled against Arkansas, and he stepped up to avoid a second straight loss for Tennessee to Arkansas after losing last year to the Razorbacks. They avoided that this year because Joey Aguilar was so outstanding for them. What's your next standout?
Next standout. Sorry, I was checking the Jet score. They're down 10-6, and somehow in the first half they only had 32 total yards. And
seems very Jets-like.
Yeah, and actually 31 were on their first 4 drives. They had 1 yard.
There you go.
That's
the New York Jets right there.
That's something. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Did I tell you, or did I not tell you on Tuesday, that Texas Tech had a chance to come out and run the football?
You did not tell me that.
I didn't tell you that.
No.
Against Kansas run defense that had been
I tuned you out during the preview, though, so maybe you did say that.
Well, Kansas run defense has been incredibly inconsistent this year. And it was just that, again, against Texas Tech. And look, Texas Tech, they had some adversity. They got out ahead 21-0. Jalen Daniels got hot, started coming back. But, Baron Morton got hurt. He left this game. We saw Will Hammond again. Wasn't throwing the ball great either. Neither quarterback threw the ball great. But I'll tell you what, when you got Cameron Dickey in the backfield running for 21 carries and 263 yards and an 84 rushing grade and 6 explosive runs and 5 missed tackles. I didn't know if it was Cam Dickey or Cam Scatterbo when I was watching, because every single time I looked out of our 6 games we were watching at the Texas Tech game, I saw one of 2 guys, Cameron Dickey or Jacob Rodriguez. Now, you got a couple others here as well, because well-deserved also. But Cameron Dickey, I mentioned it on Tuesday, and I believe we got to find the exact year, but it's the most rushing yards in a game that Texas Tech has had in a long time. But I told you about this. Cameron Dickey, Jacoby Williams, and it's crazy because they lost Quentin Joyner. He was supposed to be the star of it before the season. He hasn't played a snap this year. He's not going to play this year with an injury. But what a night. 263 yards on the ground for Dickey, and the Texas Tech run game carrying through early in the game. Jalen got hot. This was a 4-point game right in the middle of it. And then the second half, they just kept riding it on the ground, and Kansas run defense did not stand a chance. Another big win for Texas Tech. And you know what? Despite some adversity in the second quarter of this game, still clearly look like the best team in the Big 12.
Oh, very clearly. Yeah, so shout out to you because you did shout that out. I do remember the Cameron Dickey shout out. And yeah, that run game was outstanding. And also, this is not very surprising, the Texas Tech edge duo of David Bailey and Romello Height is elite. Both those guys could be first-round picks in this year's draft, and both of them were incredible against Kansas yesterday. Romello Height, 95.1 PFF grade in the win over Kansas, 91.5 pass rush grade, 8 pressures, and a sack for a 24% pressure rate. He also had a coverage stop in there, too, for Romello Height. David Bailey, 94.8 PFF grade, 3 sacks for David Bailey, 10 pressures, 2 quarterback hits, a 42% pass rush win rate for David Bailey. He now leads the nation in pressures and sacks this year. So we mentioned before time and time again how Ruben Bain Jr. has been the best player in college football this year, and he still is. He's the highest graded edge rusher in the nation. But second, David Bailey. Number 3, Romello Height. Texas Tech right now has 2 of the 3 highest graded edge rushers in the country. Both those guys could be first-round picks in the NFL draft this year too. And unfortunately, with Skylar Gill-Howard going down with looked like a serious injury at D-tackle, they're going to need those 2 to carry this defensive line all year too.
Yeah, and Lee Hunter was really good on the inside as well. He's been great all year too. The craziest thing, you want to first of all, the fact that we have Bain and Mesidor playing the way they are at Miami, and yet if you said, hey, who's the best edge duo in college football? And there's an argument.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Here's what this Texas Tech team does to people with Bailey. Remember before in the Gator game, we mentioned Austin Barber, 0 pass blocking grade. Tough, right?
Yeah.
I've never seen this one. Both of Texas Tech's starting tackles.
Oh, Kansas starting tackles.
Sorry, Kansas, yes. Both of Kansas offensive tackles starting.
Yeah.
Both had a 0 pass blocking grade. Both of them.
That's expected, though.
These 2 guys can just take games over.
Yeah.
It's unreal. I don't know the answer for them because again, you have 2 guys like that plus Lee Hunter on the inside. You never have to blitz. You don't have to blitz.
Yeah.
You just sit back and just wait, and eventually it'll just happen because they're like inevitable. It's just like Bain and Mesidor. It's the same way in the Big 12 with Texas Tech right now.
So I think there was one more team, Dalton, that we did not do in a review, but one more top 25 team lost in Florida State, and because of your next guy right here.
You know, did I not mention this also? I went with UCLA as my official pick, but I know you don't listen. So, people, I did mention this as well. I was between UCLA and Pitt on the upset.
Well, one of our commenters did have Pitt, so it was part of the parlay.
Well, the chat knows ball.
There you go.
That's the biggest thing about it. The chat knows ball. Desmond Reed, what a day, especially catching the football. 200 total yards of offense. How about 7 catches for 146 and 2 touchdowns, a 96.7 receiving grade, along with the 54 yards and 4 missed tackles he added on the ground.
He's Brashard Smith all over again.
Yeah. Oh, no, Desmond Reed, I mean, he's got it. Yeah, underside. It's going to be the same thing like Darren Sproles, Deuce Vaughn, and all these other guys. You got the Brashard Smith, too, former receiver. You got to draft this guy. Plus, he didn't do it in this game, but he can return punts and do all that. Desmond Reed, you want to define all-purpose back. That's it right there. And between, Pitt's defense stepped up when they needed to. Desmond Reed was – how good – dude, there was moments where it was shaky because he's a true freshman on the road. How good was Mason Heinschel, too?
The one throw he had to the back of the end zone was unbelievable.
Rolling to his left, feet off the ground.
Sidearm, yeah.
Because, it's kind of a similar throw that we saw Tyler Shuck make against, I think, Notre Dame last year. I mean – Heinschel, Reed, they found a quarterback. They found the confidence in this offense. And, Pitt right now, they found it on offense. And it might be with 2 losses, although they only have 1 conference loss, I think. So you never know. You get back in that mix. And then boy, on the other side, how much different do we look at Florida State right now?
Yeah.
3 straight losses in conference. They went from the high of that Alabama win to pretty much just about done all of a sudden, which is crazy. But Pitt going down to Tallahassee and getting a big win behind Desmond Reed, 200 total yards, and again, that was 96.7 receiving grade. That's ridiculous stuff from him.
I'm going to go with my last one here. Another game that we preview but did not review because, of course, we're just strapped for time here. But Adon Schuler, the safety from Notre Dame, 88.8 coverage grade for Notre Dame. Their 36-7 win over NC State. 2 catches allowed on 4 targets for only 13 yards. Also had a pick and 2 coverage stops too. 17.7 passer rating allowed for Schuler in this one over NC State. Their secondary has really started to come alive over the last few weeks, and they're going to need it this upcoming week against USC, against that passing game with Mayava, Makai Lemon, Jacoby Lane, all the weapons they have there too. They're going to need Schuler, Leonard Moore, all the guys in Notre Dame's secondary to step up if Notre Dame wants to continue their hopes for a college football playoff spot.
No, Notre Dame played another fantastic football game, especially on defense. It was one deep ball they gave up to Terrell Anderson. The offense took some time to get the engine running, but they got it going in the second half. Eli Raridan with a 100-yard day. Will Pauling with a 100-yard day. The defense has been outstanding the last 3 weeks. Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price combining for over 150 again. I mean, what a ball game. That's all I can say with that. What a ball game we're going to get next week between those 2 teams. That's going to be unreal, and I think just the number of different ways that could go and the implications really, think about it, if USC wins that game, prime playoff contender in the Big Ten, and Notre Dame's going to end up being out. Notre Dame wins that game, and we're talking about, okay, now they've got the run to the end here, and USC, even though it's out of conference, it does hurt the at-large bid there for USC. There's a couple that are probably equal. I don't know if there's a bigger game than that one next week.
Yeah.